Hi, this is Chesney from Wynn Public Library, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a picture frame out of cardboard and magazines, just stuff that you can find around your house. You can pick up these kits at the library, and they're going to have your cardboard pieces already cut out. But just in case you are doing this from home without the kit, or if you want to make this again in the future, I'm going to show you the measurements real quick, so if you're doing this at home, you can follow along. So first, you're going to want to get 3 pieces of cardboard, and they're all going to be 6 inches by 8 inches. And this is for a picture frame that'll hold a 4x6 picture. So these are the 3 6x8. And then one of the 6x8 cardboard pieces, you actually are going to cut a piece out of from the middle of it. And what you're going to do is you're going to measure in on each of the 4 sides. You're going to measure in 1 1/4 inch. And then before you make the final cut, make sure this piece on the inside, if you measure in that much, should be exactly 3.5 by 5.5 inches long. And remember, you're going to want to keep this. You're not going to toss it. So you're just going to cut that 3.5 by 5.5 out. And these 4 pieces are all that you will need. All right, now let's move on to assembling the frame. All right, to assemble your frame, we're actually going to be using these paper fasteners. You should be getting 6 of them in your kit because you're going to need that overall. And you're going to take your piece of cardboard. It's going to be in 3 layers. We'll worry about this other piece at the end. But you're going to take this as your top layer, where you're actually going to see your picture. And right in the middle, as much as you can get it, you're going to take one of these fasteners and you're going to poke it through the cardboard. Now, it's good at poking individual. It'll go right through the individual pieces. However, I would not try to do all 3 at once, and you're going to do that for all 4 corners. And since we're using fasteners, this way you can change out your picture as often as you want. It's not a set picture frame. We're not gluing it together. Okay, now once you have those lined up, and this is where it gets a little tricky, but because you want to get it pretty even, you're going to take all the fasteners out and you're going to leave the openings, and you're going to just line the second piece up and push that through a little bit just to mark where it's supposed to be. You're going to do that for, again, all 4 sides. All right. And then when you see where you left your markings, then you can shove that through your second piece. All right. And then once you have your second piece done, now it's time to move on to the third piece. And since the first and the second piece are lined up, you can do the exact same for the third piece, where you're just going to mark where you're supposed to put the fasteners. And then go all the way through with the fastener. Your fastener might get a little bent. That's okay. You can straighten it out pretty good once you're done. All right. We're going to move away from the 3 pieces briefly, and we're going to worry about this smaller back piece. Now, this is actually going to be the back of the picture frame that props it up. All right. And to do that, you're going to make a bend in this about that far down. It doesn't need to be precise. And then I'm going to take 2 fasteners and you decide where you want those. Right, and then pick which piece is going to be your back piece. Some of the cardboard that we pre-cut for you is blank. Some might have some colors or markings on it. Make sure that whatever you are lining this back up with is what you want to be showing outside. I know people are usually looking at the front of your picture, but just in case they do see the back picture frame, you don't want it to be part of a shipping label or something like that. So you're gonna line that up to where the base is the same, and then I'm gonna do the same thing as we did for the 3 pieces and mark where the fasteners are going. All right, now let's assemble this. So you're gonna do your 2 for the back, and hopefully, if you did everything right, that should be lined up nice. And then you can clip your fasteners on. So that way we have this back piece. All right. And then I wouldn't recommend putting your picture in yet since we still have to do the outside, but I just want to show you guys what the final product will look like when we have it all lined up. And if something happens where the holes don't line up exactly, go ahead and make another hole for them, just because you're not going to be able to see the second or third layer. So if a bunch of holes are in the second or third layer, it's not that big of a deal. And even if you get it in the first part of the picture frame, the magazines can hide some of that, so don't worry too much about it. Alright, so that's what the back's going to look like. And then it's the front. And you have your picture frame base. Alright, now we're going to show you how to make the pieces of magazine to glue onto the frame. Alright, for this next part I'm going to be showing you how to decorate the frame using old magazines. And for this part you're going to want to remove the first part of your frame. If it's all put together, you run the risk of gluing the layers together, or especially if you have a photo in there, you don't want to get glue on the photo. So the finished product is supposed to look something like this, and there's a lot of different patterns and variety that you can do with this. This is a frame that I just started, so I haven't completed the whole thing yet, but I'll show you how to make these. So you're going to get some old magazines in your kit, or you can use ones that you have at home, and you're going to flip through and pick out pages that have colors that you like. It doesn't really matter what's on the page as much, because once you make those you can't tell what it is. So here's a nice page with like brown colors, here's some blue, more blue, green, you know, just flip through, and basically I would rip out any pages that you like the color of. And you're going to want to also play around with using different colors. Some of the white space looks nice on some of them I just did all colors, some of them I went dark to light. So it's really up to you, and you're going to want to make them all different so it looks really nice when you put them all together. So once you rip out the page you like, you're going to cut the magazines into strips about 1 inch wide. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then what I do is I cut out a couple pages, because you're going to need, depending on what size you make the little balls of magazines, you're going to need different amounts of it. So I usually separate it by colors, so I know what I'm going to be using. And then let's start out with one of these yellow strips. And like I said, this is an advertisement. It's coupons. Once you roll it up, no one's gonna know. So the first step is to take this And the 1-inch strip, you're going to fold it in half. And then you're going to make sure that the top part is the solid part, and the bottom part is the one that has the 2 different sides. And then all we're going to do is roll this up. Now, you don't want to leave too much space while you're rolling it, but if you pull too tightly and wind it up too tightly, you do run the risk of the page breaking. Some of these magazines have thinner pages than others, so I have had some break on me. And then while you're doing it, unless you're getting those 1-inch strips really even, it's going to be a little bit of like a height variance of different parts of it, but don't worry, you won't tell again with the finished product. None of this has to be too precise. You won't notice once it's all put together. And the first color that you choose, the centerpiece, because you're wrapping it just along itself and it's not being stretched around pieces, this is going to be the color that's most prominent in each one. And then you're going to take a little tiny piece of tape. And then you're going to tape that edge together so you have this little rolled up piece of magazine that is not going to come apart. And then basically that's it. You're going to be folding another piece in half. And this time, again, you're going to take a little piece of tape. You're going to go through a lot of tape with these. That's just to make sure you don't get it all wound up and it falls apart on you, because that's no fun. And you're going to find roughly where you ended with the previous magazine. Little tape on the outside of that one. Tape on that. And then you're going to wrap that up. Now, I've messed around with the different sizes with the strips of magazines to see how many use, because they can be in different sizes. Like I made some small ones, here's some larger ones. The one picture frame that I finished, I used some that were about that large, and they looked really nice. The only issue was they were a little heavy, so if you were going to be putting them on the top of the frame, it might make it a little too top heavy. Once you finish with that, you're going to tape that layer down. And as you can see, even though they were about the same size, the blue piece is actually like stretched out more thin. You see more of the yellow than you do the blue. And then you're going to keep going until you get it to the size you like. I would recommend probably about maybe 5 to 7 magazine pieces for a small to medium sized one. I'm going to tape that and wrap that around. Mess around with the patterns. Sometimes I like to take like a white magazine piece, roll that up, and then find a light gray one or a light blue one, and then a little bit darker gray or blue, and then a little darker, and then finish up with a black or brown or gray piece at the very end. It kind of gives it a really cool gradient. I like doing some that's just colors. I like doing ones that's something like a yellow and then a white and then a red and then a white and then a blue and then a white. And as much as I've been saying it doesn't matter which strip you use, the only strip that does matter what it has on it is the one on the outside. This is a really small one, but I'm going to do this so you don't have to watch me make a large one because this is very time consuming. But the strip that you use on the outside, you're going to want to make sure you don't have anything that you don't want on your picture frame on it. And then with a little bit of hot glue works, or just regular Elmer's glue. You're going to put that on the bottom of it. Make sure you know where you want it, because once the glue dries that is stuck on your frame, you can't rearrange too much. I've been doing this one kind of as I go, adding them. The other one I made, I would periodically, I would keep them all off to the side and periodically arrange them how I wanted. And then once I saw that it covered the whole thing, then was when I glued them all down at once, just so I knew where I wanted them. But yeah, it's going to be time consuming, it's going to take a lot of tape, a lot of patience, but it's going to look really cool once it's done and the whole frame is covered in these. Alright, and then this is what your final product is going to look like. This is one that I've done previously, and as you can see, it's a little different than the one I'm working on right here. So thank you for joining us with this craft today, and we hope you join us for more programs in the future. If you're on Facebook and you make one of these, or you want to show off your progress in the pictures below, please do. And thank you for coming today.